One of the first things that I would do to increase the proficiency of reading and math proficiency in schools is, first of all, to make sure we can measure how kids are doing throughout the school year. And with these tests, what I would propose is that we do at the beginning of the school year, the middle of the school year, and the end of the school year, so that we can measure where a child is and immediately put and focus the resources with those kids. But what I'm planning to do is move 4 cents of every education dollar into the classroom from the bureaucracy. That allows for tutors, that allows for after-school programs for kids that are struggling in those areas, particularly in reading. Kids learn to read from kindergarten to 3rd, and then they read in order to learn from there on. And so it's important that we provide for them those resources so that if they're not at the level they should be, we put them there immediately. But also so we can provide merit increases for teachers that are doing really well. If they're going to be responsible for 25 kids, if their class is all proficient in reading and math, then they should be rewarded for that progress. However, if we have a teacher who's willing to move from a school that's successful to a school that is struggling and go into a classroom where there are not a lot of kids that are struggling, then we should be able to provide that teacher with merit pay and reward that teacher for taking on those challenges. Dropout rate, why do kids drop out? They start to struggle. They lose interest. They can't read in order to learn. So we have to make sure we're not losing those kids in the 3rd and the 4th and the 5th grade. Right now in New Mexico, 80% of our 4th graders aren't reading proficiently. That means they moved from the 3rd grade to the 4th grade without the necessary skills. And so what we need to do is refocus, have an emphasis in literacy once again in our state, so we make sure the kids don't get moved on from the 5th to the 6th to the 7th and eventually get so discouraged that they drop out. We have nearly a 40% dropout rate in the state, and it's unacceptable. But we also have kids graduating from high school. They go into college, and when they go into college, 50% of those kids need remedial studies, and it's unacceptable. Obviously, we're not getting kids to the level that they're supposed to be throughout the school year. Adjusting curriculum, providing professional services to teachers so they do better. We've got to do better for our kids to prepare them for the job market and also to prepare them for college.
Well, that's a question that everybody's asking all across New Mexico. Let me start by saying that funding education is a top priority for me. The funding formula needs to be revised and fully funded, and I look forward to the opportunity to work with the legislature, have the skills to do it, to figure out how do we put those resources in the classroom. But speaking specifically to programs that are important to New Mexicans, and especially in southern New Mexico, English as a second language, here's my belief about schools. Schools need to be more community-centered schools. We need to have programs in our schools that allow for adults to come get English as a second language training. We need to partner with the private community to bring in nonprofits and the business community into our schools. In a community like Hatch, create a partnership where people can come in, where businesses can come in and help sponsor that, because we need some no-cost, low-cost solutions so that those programs do not go away. As public school funding has been challenged, the most important programs sometimes are the first to go, and English as a second language is one of those programs. Math and science, we have in New Mexico a diploma of excellence. It requires 4 math classes, 3 science classes. 2 of those have to be laboratory classes, and it also requires a career cluster program, giving kids a chance to test their aptitudes, their interest in what they really want to do. What career do they want to have? Where might they want to go? I think we should make it, we should expect every child to have the opportunity to take advanced placement courses, and we should want them and expect them and raise the expectations that they will achieve a diploma of excellence in New Mexico. But let me give you an example of one of the things that we can do, should do. We've been working for a year now with the Woodrow Wilson Foundation, who now, in partnership with the Kellogg Foundation, are looking at sponsoring a program to train math and science teachers in New Mexico. Every year they could train specifically 60 math and science teachers. It is a partnership between higher education, public education, the private community, and the corporate community, and the nonprofit, and the philanthropic community. Those are the kinds of partnerships that will help us increase math, science learning in New Mexico classrooms. I cannot stress enough that in education has to be about a partnership. It's about public education. It's about the involvement of the people who need us to grow the workforce, the people that want a workforce of the future, those corporate entities, the universities, and the aerospace industry, the engineering industry, working with them to partner with our schools, and then working with our philanthropic community to help fund some of the programs that we're not going to be able to fund in public education. So looking specifically, I'm excited about those opportunities down the road for New Mexico to improve math and science and learning skills, and for teachers and students in New Mexico. First of all, let me say that I believe that our records deserve to be scrutinized. I'm a lifelong New Mexican who has lived and worked here, whose integrity, frankly, has never been questioned. My husband and I are both small business people in the New Mexico community, and our integrity has never been questioned. That's how I'll operate as governor. I will make sure that I set a high standard in state government to make sure that people know that I'm operating with the highest standards in New Mexico government. But let me say this, my opponent, she is not being truthful with New Mexicans because she doesn't have a plan for New Mexicans. She's made very personal attacks. My advertising, frankly, has been focused on comparing what we want to do in the future. I'm about jobs. I want to be the future candidate, not the candidate who doesn't have a plan. I have a plan for job creation in New Mexico. I have a plan for making education meaningful for young people. And I have a plan for fighting against the people, the powerful interests that strip the wealth out of our communities right here in southern New Mexico.
Well, I think certainly my record as the district attorney is that I don't run from a good fight. I mean, for New Mexicans, I want to fight for them as I have in this county for the children. If I don't support a bill, and if the analysis, the cost-benefit analysis that has been done is something that doesn't allow us to support that bill, then I won't support it. I know that it's tough with the campaigns and the ads. To point out differences isn't to slander. To point out things that are factual isn't to slander. To bring out things that are made up, certainly those are challenges that both campaigns should avoid.